Okay, so good morning and or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. My name is Eddie Thompson. I am lead solution engineer here in APAC for Sumo Logic. And today I'm going to be talking to you about software development optimization, and more specifically, our Sumo solution for software development optimization. So I'll jump into my slides now. I've got a few to go through. I'm not going to bore you to death, but we'll give you a bit of grounding in what we're going to cover. So what we like to talk about a lot these days at Sumo is observability, and observability comes in many different flavors depending on what you are looking at within your organization. You might be looking to observe your applications. In this case, we're looking at how we can observe our software development lifecycle, our velocity and our quality. And you also might be looking to observe your security environment. But yeah, today we're going to be focusing on that observability value that we can derive from our software development optimization. And so when we talk about software development optimization, we're talking about a pretty broad ecosystem now. So it takes in everything from your cloud provider to your infrastructure stack for your applications, and then everything around your actual sort of coding and CI/CD development tools. So you've got things like Jira and Github and Circle CI and Harness. These all sort of tie into different areas, and they're sort of very much a lot of best of breed type things. They all have really important roles to play, but it's also a little bit hard sometimes to get a complete picture, a total view of what's happening within that sort of environment. And what people are looking to do now more and more is get some standardized metrics around this. So performance benchmarking, so that they can look towards how they can improve their end-to-end optimization, because they're looking to derive some of these business benefits like faster release velocity, improving their reliability and the security of their software, and sort of enhance the team collaboration that they have within their organizations. So we talk about end-to-end visibility, things like performance benchmarking and end-to-end optimization, and these tend to be broken down into four sort of categories, and these are the ones which have been defined as the sort of key DORA metrics. So which is the the DevOps research. I always forget the last name, but anyway. We're looking at things like deployment frequency, lead time for changes, your mean time to recovery when there has been a failure, and your total percent of change failure rate. Now, what we're providing here is real-time sort of views of these. This isn't where you sort of dump out a heap of reports at the end of the week or the end of the sprint or the end of the quarter and try and work backwards and calculate your metrics. These are live. These are available for you to view and act on within the platform. It takes a lot of information, so you're getting logs and events from across the entire DevOps lifecycle, and we need to be able to normalize these to a common schema, so you can get that sort of end-to-end visibility no matter which tooling you're using across possibly a large variety of teams and organizations within your sort of development group. Enrichment allows teams to have the data that is meaningful to them. So you've got some standard metrics, but you might wish to slice this by a particular team or a particular business unit. Not everyone organizes their business in the same way. You might be using squads, you might have tribes, you have different ways where you need to order that data to get some results which are meaningful to you. And because this sort of this schema is extensible, because this is produced in Sumo, it's very much that you can take this sort of framework and make it applicable to your organization. So, very brief architecture overview here. Basically, we have the ability to set this up via Terraform in minutes. You can configure it manually if you wish, but it is really easy to get going with Terraform. It pulls in data from tools right across your lifecycle, things like Jira and Github, things like Bitbucket and Jenkins, OpsGenie, PagerDuty, GitLab. There's a wide variety, and basically we normalize this to a common schema, and that allows you to have access to a pre-built set of dashboards which give you the information to drill into each one of those DORA metrics and sort of what the contributing factors to the numbers that you're achieving are. And we get past the architecture, and now we think about the why. Why would someone want to do this? And the reality is that high-performing software delivery teams win. So when compared to low-performing teams, elite performers, they deploy code far more frequently. They have a much faster lead time from their initial commit to when that code is actually deployed. They are orders of magnitude faster at recovering from incidents, and they deploy much fewer breaking changes to their code base. So this is sort of derived from the State of DevOps report, but also from research from DORA. So I touched on this briefly before, but the 4 key metrics that we're looking to evaluate here, you can break them down into 2 categories. One is measures of agility, and the others are measures of reliability. So agility, how fast do you deploy code to production? Deployment frequency, faster is better. Lead time, how long does it take you to go from merging a commit to production deployment? Once again, shorter is better. Mean time to recovery, how long does it take you to recover from a production incident? Shorter is better. And change failure rate of your deployments to production, which are the percentage that subsequently require remediation. And obviously their lower is better as well. So that's enough of the slides. Let's jump into the live demo in the platform, and you can see how it looks. So first of all here, I'm opening up a DORA metrics overview dashboard, and a couple of things which are really sort of key here and I think kind of cool is that these are the DORA metrics as defined by DORA. This isn't something that we've cooked up here at Sumo. This is industry standard. And so I can see here each of the key metrics here. So my deployment frequency, lead time for changes, change failure rate, and time to restore service. And I can also see a trend line and some outliers for how this has been sort of performing recently. I suppose the thing that jumps out to me here is my lead time seems to be trending upwards, and I'd probably rather that was going the other way and getting lower. Now, thing to remember here, this is computed live, so this is from the data which is live in the platform. So I can say, okay, I want to drill into my lead time for changes. I've got my lead time dashboard here. I can jump in and actually have a look to what the contributing factors are here. So this gives me some information like what my average lead time is, which repos have the slowest lead time, which services, which teams, and importantly here, which pipelines. And I think this is sort of showing me here where I've got some problems, because my my master deploy pipeline, that seems to be only a fraction of what my master build test pipeline is. So this is a likely indication of where I've got some issues within my system. So I'm going to jump over to my my pipeline stage monitoring dashboard. Now, these are all included as part of the software development optimization system. These aren't things that you will need to build yourself. These populate out of the box. So pipeline stage monitoring, I can see my pipeline executions, which stages, failed stages, and then my durations. Now, master build test, I can see that, yep, that's definitely taking the lion's share, but this is actually allowing me to break it down with a bit more detail, so I can actually sort of see which steps are taking the longest here. And very obviously here it is regression tests. So if I wish to sort of filter this down, I can go my master build test. And then filter this again for regression tests. And that's one of the things here, because this is computed with live data, we're able to sort of filter and chop and change as we're doing an investigation. So now I can see my master build test. I can have a look at my filtered slowest tests here, and I've got within this particular pipeline, it's within this stage right down to the actual step name here. So I can see run backend ETL tests. That's the step which is taking up all the time here. So there's obviously a problem there. I can get someone within my team to go and investigate that and have a look at how we can sort of improve that and get some time back. So that's one of the really powerful things here, being able to go from seeing an overall development metric trending up, identify where I've got a problem, investigate it with more detail, and find a likely underlying cause here. That's really powerful. But that's just one sort of side to it. So the other thing, we've given you a pipeline overview, and I really like this because this sort of gives you a right to left view of what's going on in your development environment. So what your recent pipeline execution trends have been, what were my last critical alerts coming in from PagerDuty, how are my deploys going, so what's my percentage of my successful to failed deploys. So I can see here I've got some deployment failures sort of trending up here. I can actually click on one of those. You can see here that it's real because it's making me do a single sign-on. And yeah, it actually drops me into the GitHub issue. That's my likely problem here. So that sort of deep linking and deep integration is really powerful, and that's sort of GitHub there. But if I was looking into Jenkins or PagerDuty, these are all sort of there as well to pull through. And right back to sort of my builds, where are my most recent builds, where are my most recent PRs, why are they taking so long to close, my last critical issues. So from Jira, where are my issues trends in Jira? So what's my sort of ratios between what's to do, what's been done, what's complete. So this is sort of like this bird's eye view of what's going on most recently in your environment. Now, each one of those phases you can sort of drill into with more information as well. And this is my favorite one. I think that this is an area where we frequently overlook options to really improve our development organization. So we spend a lot of time sort of optimizing our CI/CD pipelines and trying to get the most out of our build cycles. But if you've blowing through hours and hours and hours with the average time to close your pull requests, you're probably going to get some better value by improving that time to actually get those PRs closed than trying to chase seconds in your build pipeline. So what I can see here is things like my PRs via when they were how the proportion that were created, proportion that were merged, proportion that was declined. My services by pull requests by target branch, the reviewers assigned to pull requests. And this is a classic one as well. Do I have enough people able to review within a given repo? Is that's what holding me up? Do I need to train more people to be able to review in a particular repo? And I can see here, so my top reviewers by average time to close, and my repos with the longest time to close. So I've got one here which is nearly twice the average. So that says to me that I've got to work out if I have enough people in that particular repo who are able to actually do the PRs. And then at the bottom, being able to see my trending across when my PRs were created, merged and declined. Am I seeing spikes in something that needs to be investigated? And what are my top 10 PRs by time to merge and the most recent PRs by time to merge? Jumping over to builds, this is a really interesting one as well. So once again, this is where we can sort of filter by status or repo, service, team, and this is a classic one where people do like to add some additional metadata and filters to make sure that what they are investigating is relevant to their organization. And that's really easy to do. But we can see how many builds I've had, where my builds are happening by service, by team, what's my trends on successes and failures. These are sort of tracking pretty close together, which is fairly normal. But then also, where are my most recent failed builds, my most recent successful builds? And once again, being able to sort of jump straight out to looking at that in the real code in GitHub when you've actually identified an issue is really handy. It just sort of makes for a nice workflow. One of the last ones I want to talk about here with you too is alerts. So this is where you're tying in things like PagerDuty, OpsGenie, whatever you're sort of using as an alerting platform. It may just be Slack or Teams. But what this is doing is allowing you to see, this sort of comes into your code quality side of things. So where am I seeing my alerts coming from? What are the proportions? What are low? What are high? Which services are causing most of my alerts? Which teams? Are these evenly distributed, or is it all coming from one particular group? Are there sort of teams which have a really low proportion of critical alerts? Can we have a look at how they're doing their release processes, and is there a specific reason why that is better than some of our other groups that have got high rates of critical alerts for their code? So it's not about just identifying problems. One of the key things you can do here is actually identify the strongest parts of your organization, how they're performing well, and then have a look at why that may be. If there's other things that they're doing that you can sort of broaden out into the rest of the organization. Also some trending here, just alerts created versus closed. I can see here I've got a fairly wide distribution of where my alerts are coming from across my services. It's not just sort of one particular service trending all the way. So it seems to be there's fairly evenly distributed there. So look, jumping back to the overview here, it really is a powerful thing to be able to make this all happen quickly. There are a lot of people who have the desire to be doing more with things like development metrics. It's a common thread that I see, and when I talk to people in development organizations, they're like, yeah, we'd love to be able to do more with our DevOps metrics, but our priorities are such that, et cetera, et cetera. So what I love showing people is that a lot of the time they've already got half the data they need to do this in Sumo if they are a Sumo customer, and it's really easy to get it up and running and actually deriving some value from it quickly, because we give you the tools to normalize this data, to populate it quickly into Sumo, and it doesn't matter if it's on-prem Jenkins with cloud GitHub, we can make it all work together, and you can set it up in literally minutes. And these dashboards will populate out of the box. There's not a lot of work to do, and that just makes it easy for you to benchmark and optimize your software development and delivery performance. And looking across that sort of entire DevOps Lifecycle. So it's an integrated software development optimization solution. This is available for any Sumo customer. This isn't sort of like an add-on license or SKU that you need to use. This is something which we provide to you within the core platform that you can derive real value from. And that'll allow you to release code faster, improve your application reliability, and increase the collaboration across your various development teams. So thank you very much for your time here today. I'll have a look if there are any questions. I'll hang for a moment there. And if not, I shall close it out. So I'll give you a moment there if anyone has any questions. Okay, we have a question about how is it charged. So this is charged the same way as any other data that goes into Sumo. So yeah, as I mentioned, there's no additional SKU for it. So it's really only the data that you're sending in, like webhooks from GitHub, your logs from Jenkins, your logs from Jira, logs from PagerDuty. So however many gigabytes that those are to ingest, that's what it will cost. And a lot of the time you already have an amount of that in Sumo anyway, so it'll be a small additional cost. This isn't sort of like a heavy data solution, so it's generally pretty economical for customers to deploy. Now look, it doesn't look like we have any other questions there, so I'll say thank you very much for your time here today. Please have a look on the Sumo website if you are interested in giving this a go. Feel free to reach out to your solutions engineer or customer success engineer or account executive if you would like to know more. If you are not an existing Sumo customer, please jump on the website, download, sign up for a free trial, and you can get up and running in minutes. And this is definitely something which I think will provide a lot of value to you and your organization. Cheers.